the government of India has given us some directives to share for power mix at least 8% of the total power. So we are trying hard to reach that goal, and our goal is to 2020-22. I think that we will be able to reach the optimum level up to that 2022. With these words, once again, I welcome this type of conclave so that not only my government, entire world can be benefited with the outcome of this conclave. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your address. Now we have a very pleasant task, signing of a memorandum, business memorandum of understanding between Senegist Limited UK and TERI, the Energy and Resources Institute. May I please request Mr. Mitesh Dhanak, Managing Director of Senegist UK, and Dr. Mathur to please sign the MOU in the presence of our Honorable Minister, Shri Shobhandev Chattopadhyay, and His Excellency Sir Dominic Asquith, High Commissioner of the UK to India. If it's not too much of a problem, we can just suppose it.
Congratulations.
10th edition. It is a very special occasion for us. As I look back, I feel overwhelmed to remember the journey, and with great eagerness, I look forward to continue this journey for years to come. This edition has been made special with TERI as our knowledge partner, International Solar Alliance as partner, and UK as the partner country. The august presence of Dr. Ajay Mathur, His Excellency Sri Upendra Tripathi, His Excellency Sir Dominic Asquith has made it very special occasion. Our focus this year has elevated this forum to a global benchmark and having international participation. We are delighted that we have got participation from UK, Georgia, Italy, Luxembourg, Germany, and other countries. Our special thanks for the overseas delegates who have come all the way to the city to join us. The presence of His Excellency Archil Zulia Asbili and Mr. Franz Joseph Soffosen is indeed inspiring. Honorable Minister Sri Shobhandev Chattopadhyay, this conclave would not have been accomplished without your kind presence, sir. During the course of the day, we have thought-provoking sessions with some of the great minds in energy, business, concluding with the valedictory session address by none other than Dr. Sunita Narayan. We would like to thank all our honorable speakers, distinguished audiences, and friends from the media for joining us today. Our very special thanks to all our partners for coming forward and helping us mount a forum of this magnitude. Coal India, WBSEDCL, Exide, ERM, IPCL, CESC, EESL, PTC, ITC, Synergist, Mahindra, and Technoelectric. With this, may I request Angana?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to get back Dr. Mathur, His Excellency Sri Upendra Tripathi, and Mr. Shawfasan again with us today. Now we will present mementos to His Excellency Sir Dominic Asquith, High Commissioner of United Kingdom in India, and Sri Shobhandev Chattopadhyay, Honorable Minister in Charge, Power and Non-Conventional Energy Sources, Government of West Bengal, and His Excellency Archil Ambassador of Georgia to India, Thailand, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. May we request our President to please present the mementos. We have one announcement. ERM is our sustainability partner, and they are conducting a market perspective survey on the future landscape of India's clean and sustainable energy picture. The survey responses will be used to author a white paper by ERM and Bengal Chamber on the emerging dynamics of India's sustainable power sector. The feedback form has been kept on your table. It will take a couple of minutes to fill in the form. You are requested to please share your opinion and feedback. The feedback form may be returned to the registration desk when you are leaving the venue. Thank you. And we are changing over to the next session. The next session will be chaired by Mr. Alok Mukherjee, past President of the Bengal Chamber. We have with us Mr. Anand Kumar Bansal, CEO of India Unipower Power Services Private Limited, Mr. Alekho Dotto, Fellow, Electricity and Fuels Division, TERI, Dr. Mohsen Asadi, Professor, Faculty of Science and Technology, University of Stavanger, and Mr. Rajiv Malhotra, ED, PTC India. You are requested to stay at your designated places because there is no break. We are changing over immediately. We will just take a couple of minutes to do the head table. Thank you. Session 1, changing character of grid due to renewables integration, distributed generation and storage. I would request Mr. Alok Mukherjee, past president of the Bengal Chamber, to please come and take his seat on the dais. He will chair this session. We will also request the speakers or the panelists of this session to join him. Mr. Anand Kumar Bansal, CEO of India Uniper Power Services Private Limited. Mr. Rajiv Malhotra, ED PTC, India Limited, Mr. Alekho Dotto, Fellow Electricity and Fuels Division, TERI, Dr. Mohsen Asadi, Professor, Faculty of Science and Technology, University of Savangarh.
I see that we needed a break here because everybody almost has taken a break. Not everyone, but almost everyone has taken a break after the long inaugural session. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. We have a very important thing in front of us, which is lunch, and after that, 2 more sessions. So therefore, we have to start in any case. I hope the people who are outside will join us. Thank you. And you know, in this session, we are already delayed by 25 minutes. And we have people here who are so much knowledgeable on this subject that we are going to discuss, which is grid, that they can speak on for hours on this. So what I have requested them and suggested them that we each speak for about 5-6 minutes initially, and then come back to the audience if they have any question. I have some questions to them, which I can put in that case, but so that it is really interactive, and we try to finish as soon as possible. That's what we can guarantee right now, nothing more than that. Thank you very much for being here. Let me extend my own welcome to all of you as a past president of the Bengal Chamber. You know, the electricity sector, we all know, is undergoing a transformation. It's almost like a bloodless revolution. It transition, it's from a static body, which is planned and operated by the regulators, utilities, system operators, planners, and now it is changing to one which is driven by a mix of technology, but decentralized operator, even including the consumers, and of course, a new market mechanism and reform. So this is a real metamorphosis, just not transformation. So these changes create an environment of genuine uncertainty. As renewable energy is scaled up, two primary grid infrastructure challenges are emerging. One is compatibility and interaction between intermittent and variable renewable energy resources and the grid. That's the first problem. And the second was a locational disconnect between the renewable energy sources and, of course, the demand centers. Now, we all know that an optimal amount, 30% of energy to the grid normally doesn't pose very much a problem. But anything above can be a big problem. So the variability due to the characteristic weather, diurnal fluctuation introduces uncertainty. Uncertainty in generation output. Now these uncertainties are not small. They can vary up to 70 to 100% in a cloudy day for solar capacity, or 100% of wind capacity on very calm days for individual station. Admittedly, aggregation, this is aggregated over a larger area, so the variations will be sort of optimized, but even then the grid, our grid used to handle a few percent of variation all the time, but this is going to be much more than that. The greater uncertainty or variability can be dealt with by switching in fast-acting conventional reserves, by installing large-scale storage. Now, we all know that the wind is not something fixed. It blows strongly, sometimes overnight, when the demand is low. So renewable energy generation can be only used when the base load generation, such as coal or nuclear, is curtailed or even backing down. Now that is expensive, that is inefficient. Coal-fired power stations are not meant for backing down, except that the new ones, they're supercritical, they are a little better in that respect. But you see what is happening, if you back down the coal-fired power station, the plant load factor comes down tremendously. You know, there are two problems which hit the economy by their means. Firstly, those which are new plants, taken money from the banks. They have not returned the money yet. Their power of returning money reduces because they are operating such a low plant load factor. Second, the new plants which have the plant under constructions, they are also affected because they go slow. In fact, a lot of plants have gone slow. I don't know whether you are aware, a Central Electricity Authority has given us statistics that 34 stressed assets are there in the utilities. And out of these 34 assets, the total money only taken from the scheduled banks is 1 lakh crore. And the total money given to all the plants is about 3.2 lakh crore, which is billions and billions of dollars. Now, how it's not a question of the grid's instability only, unfortunately, it's a much bigger thing of actually the economy itself. But anyway, as you see, when the demand is low, even then you have to stop it. If alternatively on calm days when there is no wind power, the left afternoon peak demand must be met by the conventional generation. So these are something that we have to learn. We have to learn to handle. We have not handled it. We have not handled it before, and we have to learn to do it. So as the renewable energy generation grows, it is obvious that at some point of time, it will overwhelm. It will overwhelm the ability of conventional resource to supply it. So transmission level energy storage options are there. Pump storage is one of the ways. And you know, pump storage, this state is the first one of the first one. But today there is a lot of, I think potentially 92,000 megawatt has been identified all over the country, and about 7,000 megawatt is under, and only for pump storage is under construction or already in operation. The new technology of high voltage DC will help tremendously in absorbing the variations which are occurring. So we have new lines which have been drawn from northeast to UP for especially with adapters, especially with circuits which will take this absorption of renewable power. Distributed generation is another thing, which is using a small size generator producing power at low voltage level. We all know that. The distributed generation has one problem, that they supply power through the converters. And supplying power through converter has its quality problem. Quality problem in terms of harmonics, quality problem in terms of frequency. So these are the things that we have to learn to handle as we go on. However, to end, I must say, I had a lot of other things to say, but I'll drop all that because I have been associated with power generation, transmission, distribution from the private sector for a long, long time. But right now, I think we'll hear the other gentleman. I'll just end it by saying that we had a century-old grid. That is changing. And the question is that whether the change is a managed transition or completely unmanaged transitions. And renewables are not justifiable. They are a must and they have to be supported. However, part and parcel of such efforts must be investments of expenditure and effort on grid infrastructure. Even if it is done right, grid integration is a challenge, but I am sure that we shall overcome. We shall overcome this challenge in good time. Thank you very much for your patience. I would now request our next speaker to come online, Mr. Anand Kumar Bansal, who is the CEO of Indian Uniper Power Services Private Limited.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, and good afternoon to all of you. The biggest advantage of being part of such an eminent panel is that one did not prepare at all. because everything that is relevant and worth is already been shared by some of the eminent speakers, and it is going to be shared by some of my fellow speakers here. So taking this benefit, I would rather stick to the policy and philosophy of less is more, and like to share my understanding and relevance of the topic that is quite challenging and critical in current and foreseeable environment at a macro level. As I see, we are at a point of orbital shift where renewable is no longer nice to have, but a critical competitive necessity. We have the examples of Germany and Portugal. Portugal displayed 100% renewable capability for 76 days in a year continuously, and they have demonstrated to the world that a complete reliance on renewable is possible if we do things in the right way. With the advent and adoption of technology, success would not come from micromanagement, but smarter and innovative management. While the technologies are quite mature and have almost reached the plateau with respect to efficiency, it is the effectiveness that would be the real differentiator in times to come, that are not in distant future. We are already here. Put it bluntly, the future is now, and action is here, there and everywhere. Given this given paradigm shift, the grid managers have little option but to cope with the consequences. When I say grid managers, it is we. We have the little option. The variations in the load, both from supply as well as the demand side, are only going to be wider, sharper and more frequent, as we all know. While many players have great experience in supply side management, which we can control from our end, going forward with the increasing availability and variations in power generation, and that too from multiple sources like renewable and solar and battery, the operators have to develop expertise in demand side management as well. So we have to think about the demand side management where the electricity consumers will voluntarily reduce the power consumption during peak hours to facilitate the generating, to support the generating capabilities. So we can supply more power without increasing the generating capacity. It is already visible in parts and likely to spread wider. The centralized production shall get more and more decentralized, as our earlier speakers also talked about it, Dr. Ajay Mathur and rest of the people, not only for commercial regions, but also from environmental and social regions. With the advances in storage technology, distributed power is here to stay, as we all know. Here is what my recipe for survival looks like at this point of time. Being tech savvy is no longer optional. Reliance on the big data for production and consumption patterns, peak and off-peak loads, etc., must multiply manifold. Investment in storage and balancing space is existential imperative. A grid of multiple microgrids is no longer an imagination. It is the reality at this point of time. Smart grid is not smart enough. Going forward, we need intelligent grid that gets smarter with experience. So supported by big data, artificial intelligence, the machine intelligence. So the intelligent grid is the need of the hour, in our opinion, at this point of time. Today, I also confirm the commitment from both my promoters, India Power and Uniper, on 3D concept that has recently been conveyed by our Honorable Power Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal. One is decentralization. We all know the subject. The second is digitization and decarbonization to support renewable and other power generating capabilities. In closing, I would like to congratulate Bengal Chamber of Commerce for organizing such wonderful event and also thank them for giving me an opportunity to be a part of such learning experience. Thank you so much.
That's a company which signifies the change we are going through. Power trade, 15 years ago, we couldn't even imagine that there will be a power exchange company. Today, anybody changing hands of power has to go through power trading exchange. So, Mr. Malhotra, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody in this room. I think the subjects of when you introduced this session, you've actually covered all the key issues that one is facing. The point I'd just like to make from the worldview that a trader shares, we love complementarities. We like complementary deficits and surpluses, and we love to match those mismatches. However, when we talk of sustainability and renewables and the challenges that the grid is going to face because of that, I think it's the holy grail that we, or for that matter, not many organizations can claim to have cracked. Reason being that every time we talk of renewables, you cannot hope to replicate what another country has done. It's very, very specific to how we run our grid, how our consumers demand power, and how we serve those consumers. As PTC, we have taken the first, or let's say early steps in promoting the trading of renewables. And trading is really a hedging mechanism to see that new capacity comes on board, and that generators get encouraged to put in those capacities. However, when we see what is specific to India, what is specific to the way we manage our grids, whether we would like to admit it or not, there is latent demand which is sitting in the best part of this country. The reason we are balancing our grids well is that we as utilities have the flexibility to throw loads, if I may use a very crude word, to be able to deny supply to groups of consumers for good reasons. I am not saying that utility managers don't take pragmatic decisions when they decide that a feeder is to be thrown and supply is to be denied for certain parts of the day. If you then start